What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We back here in the lab, Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast, and I'm with my co-host, Mr. Matt Digby. Mr. Smith is unavailable today, but we're going to hold it down. How you feeling today, Matty D?
I'm doing great. Got a lot of good basketball action to talk about from the past weekend, and always bittersweet to see the ending of a basketball season.
Yeah, no question about that. And as most of the basketball is over, but we still got a little bit of NBA. But we're on this March Madness, and some of our hot topics is the NCAA recap of the champions with the boys and the girls division as UConn, LSU hold up the trophies. But there's a lot of drama and topics that we'll talk about on both sides. How do you say the player of the year's name, because we were trying to do that, and the hype train is bigger for the girls than the boys, and how do the boys get it back on track? UD scheduling, Wright State to talk about, and then we're going to baseball as we are in our national pastime season. We'll talk about the Reds' first week in the MLB coverage, and then the Dayton Dragons eagerly await their season opener this week amid rain going all over the place, and then we have some a new thing we're doing is Athlete of the Week and Team of the Week. So we have some baseball teams that we'll talk about as well, GW3, Bonus Sports, and everything else. This show is sponsored by Ladybug Services. Pest or bug issues, call 263-BUG, all right? Special thanks to Ladybug Services for the shout out and for the sponsorship, all right? Matt, we got, it's NCAA is over with. Tears have been flowing all weekend, whether you won or lost. But UConn really dominated this tournament. Talk about the tournament a little bit for us.
Yeah, you talk about a tournament that featured a lot of first-time instances. Only the second time a 16 seed beat a 1 with Fairleigh Dickinson over Purdue. First time for San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, and Miami all making the Final Four. But when all was said and done, it was UConn. This is now their 5th national championship, all in a span since 1999. And it's brought up a debate that I've seen on the Facebook and Twitter. Shouldn't UConn already be considered the blue blood? Because, yes, they've had some lead years back in the days before that run that started in 99, but now they've won 5 championships since 99. They are undefeated in championship games all time, and they've beaten some of the big names to do so. Their first title in 99, they beat Duke. Obviously, San Diego State, not quite the blue blood status that Duke is yet, but for UConn, 5 titles, especially in that amount of time, a little over 20 years, it's been very impressive. And the Huskies, they were impressive all tournament long. I saw somewhere that every single game was won by double digits, only like 5 or 6 teams that are also in that category, and of those 6 teams, only one of them did not go on to win the title. So UConn, they did what needed to be done. It wasn't always the prettiest to watch, but at the end of the day, March Madness, all that matters is survive and advance, and that's what UConn did for 6 games. Yeah,
and then their defense was it was stifling, and San Diego State was held 3 different times in that game with 4-minute droughts. There's no way you can win. They had an 11-minute drought
in the first half. Yeah.
So when you're taking on the likes of that, it's hard to compete with that. UConn, their size, and even when San Diego State did make a run, UConn was able to rebuttal that. Size-wise, they were too big, and it showed in the way that San Diego State was trying to score, because when they would go up, normally, they would have to fade. They were fading on a lot of shots, and then once they started missing, they saw a couple miss. It was just like it was a snowball effect, and 1 minute to 3 minutes, and 3 minutes to 8 minutes, and next thing you know, it's 11 minutes, you're down 15, and it's only the first half, and UConn, they just didn't let up, and a great run for the Huskies, and they're 5-0 in the tournament. Nobody can say that.
Yeah.
So they're sitting in a beautiful spot right now because the Blue Bloods didn't even show up this year. So for them to do what they did, kudos to the Huskies.
I saw one instance, it was one of those meme photographs saying, yes, you've won 5, but we won't let you in the Blue Bloods yet. It's a group of North Carolina, Duke, UCLA. Well, UCLA, to be quite frank, they haven't won a championship since 95. They haven't even been in the championship game since 06. In that time, UConn has won how many titles? So, if anything, UConn should be switching places with UCLA.
Well, a lot of people love history, and a lot of teams have made a lot of history. UCLA, they have a bunch of titles.
Yes, they do, yeah.
But, right, like you said, they haven't done anything in over 20, 25 years. I mean, that's a long time.
Yes.
Almost 30 years they haven't put one on the board. Duke, they have a new coach. North Carolina didn't even make the tournament.
Right.
Kentucky lost in the second round. It's just it was it's a new era. I mean, Creighton going deep. It was just you just didn't know who was playing. Florida Atlantic in the first round, it was Florida Atlantic and another
Memphis. Yeah.
I mean, like Mr. Smith said last week, the transfer portal changed the game because it made kids like if I'm the 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th man, I'm like, man, I can go to another school and be a starter. And I think that's what's happened. Now on the flip, a lot of kids go in the portal and a lot of kids don't come out of the portal. So with that being said, it has its disadvantages as well. But for the mid-majors, it has definitely been a godsend. And, also the ability to make money, to have the NIL deals has also changed the game as well.
And the other thing I got to give credit to is also the mid-majors do have a lot of coaches with experience. Look at San Diego State, for instance. Their head coach, Brian Dutcher. He's only been the head coach for about 6-7 years, but he was a longtime assistant to Steve Fisher when they were there for more than a decade and a half. And before San Diego State, they were the head coach and assistant coach at Michigan during the years of the Fab Five. So it's not like, the coaching staff is inexperienced in this situation as well. Brian Dutcher, he's been to championship games. He's been on the losing ends of them, but he was there with Michigan a couple times in the 90s as an assistant coach. So he does bring that experience. And Creighton, I know Doug McDermott has been there a long time. He also has that experience from respectable runs in the tournament.
Yeah, definitely, that's what the mid-majors do. They bring in a nice name or somebody who, really a big name, and a lot of those guys, they do work. And so like Larinaga for Miami of Florida, he took two different mid-majors to Final Four. He should be in the Hall of Fame for sure.
Yes.
Shout out to Danny Hurley. He's stepping out of his brother's and his dad's shadow and getting it done. He's got his first title with UConn. And you look at that team, you got Andre Jacks, Jordan Hawkins, 16, and Tristan Newton had 19. Adama Sanogo had 17 and 10 boards and was just completely dominant inside.
No surprise, he deserved to be the most outstanding player of the Final Four. Adama was.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to be in the first round of some draft boards whenever they decide to come out, along with a couple of the other guys on that team as well. Right now, real quickly, what do the boys need to do to get more notoriety? Because right now they're struggling.
I think it's a big situation of, and we were talking about this beforehand, a lot of named stars. With UConn, you kind of recognize Adama Sanogo, but they were really a team of great players. There was no one individual that stood out more than the other. Not like, a couple years ago, Kentucky had Anthony Davis. Florida, back in the 2000s when they went back-to-back, they had Joakim Noah and Al Horford. We haven't really seen a standout player from that sense in quite some time. Maybe I think Kemba Walker or Shabazz Napier might be the last one when the more recent or the previous titles for UConn. But I think that's going to be a big thing for the hype, raising the hype for men's basketball if there are more standout players. I know Armando Bacot coming back for North Carolina. That's going to be a big get for the Tar Heels to have this upcoming season. But that, I think, going forward. If Deron Holmes, as of the time we tape this, we don't know if Deron Holmes is going to the NBA or staying. If he stays, that's the kind of big name that will really help Dayton, especially in the Atlantic 10, raise their profile a bit.
No question, because they're planning that Maui Invitational real soon, and they got a lot of hitters in that. So we'll be back here in a moment with the girls' NCAA coverage, baseball, and other stuff. Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast. Lock in with us.
Welcome back to the Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast. Matt Digby joined by Deon Cash. We are now talking about the NCAA Women's Tournament finishing up this weekend over in Dallas, Texas. A resounding performance for the LSU Tigers. Their first national championship, the fourth actually for head coach Kim Mulkey, because remember she won 3 with Baylor back in the day. But 102-85 the final over Iowa, and it was a game where LSU, they just had that stretch, especially in the first half, where they got the momentum and they did not let Iowa back in the game. But it was a great game first and foremost. The fact that, putting it on network TV, it was on ABC 22, and a great chance for women's basketball to be showcased in front of a large national audience. And it actually got quite a few more viewers, a significantly higher amount of viewers than compared to, some college football games, some of the earlier season NBA games. So women's basketball definitely on the rise, and that's absolutely a good thing.
No question about it. The women's championship was better than the men's championship. And as we watch the men's every year, we always think the men's is better. I mean, not just subconsciously, not like saying it is, but it's like, oh, this is the one we're going to watch. But I just found myself like looking forward to watching the Final Four, the Elite Eight. The ending was just the championship game was incredible. I mean,
it was.
The amount of points scored is insane. Like
187 total.
This is like no men's colleges is even scoring like that. I think that that was the Caitlin Clark factor.
Yep.
South Carolina. LSU watched what South Carolina could not do, which is throw it in the ocean for a night. Mm-hmm. And they knew if they're going to beat Iowa, they're going to have to hit shots. There was no question about it. They were going to have to hit shots and try to maintain Miss Clark as much as they could. Now, Clark, she did what she did, but LSU was so hot in the first half that they scored 59 points. 59. South Carolina game, I don't know if they even scored 59 a game. So it was LSU with an explosion from some surprising players, and then their key players stepped up, and Angel Reese, got her get back, and it caused a stir. But if you notice, Caitlin Clark never even looked at her because why? Clark's a killer. She's a beast, and she knows if she would have had that chance to do that, she would have did that, but she didn't.
That's the other thing. She mentioned how she made those similar gestures to Louisville. I think it was Haley Van Lith in particular. So it was one of those situations where Clark acknowledged, hey, I've been on the winning side of that situation. Yeah. If I'm on the losing side of it, that's sometimes how life works. But to go back to your point about LSU hitting shots, it wasn't just Angel Reese. Jasmine Carson, she was perfect in the first half. Didn't miss a 3. I think she was 5 for 5 from 3 and coming off the bench, really stressing the importance of bench players and how valuable they are, because I believe this was Carson's second or third school she's been at. She was at West Virginia for a time. I thought she was at another D1 program. Now she's at LSU, and to come off the bench and have the performance she had, that was a big reason why LSU got that momentum in the first half.
Because those threes was going in at a rapid pace, and once she started hitting, then other girls, other ladies started hitting as well. But they hit 9, 10, 11 threes, and they're not even that type of team. They're a grinded out, gritty team. So for them, I knew when the threes were going in the first half, I knew Iowa was in trouble.
Yeah.
But Iowa was such a dynamic offensive team. They almost came back. And Caitlin Clark, that's why, that's the difference between the men and the women's game.
Yes.
In the men's game, they're talking trash. And nobody takes it super personal, but I will say this race still is a little divided in this country, and whenever it comes down to these games where it's an all-black team against an all-white team, a lot of emotions get kind of caught up. But Caitlin Clark, salute to her. She came out, look, this is just about, I got no problem with it, because she wasn't even looking at her, which lets you know she was like, man, damn, we lost. It was more like, man, we supposed to win this game. Yep. She wasn't worried about Angel, Reese that was doing that all
either
on her
the
face.
You can't see me or the
she was numb at that point because she knew they couldn't win that game. So I think, for her to come out and say, hey, it's part of the game. I'm a fan of Reese. It was a brilliant move. And it sets up a season for NCAA women's where the men's are not going to be able to match it. There's so many storylines with the women. Paige Burker's coming back from Connecticut. Yes. Ohio State first longest run in 30 years.
Yep.
You got Mulkey and her fashion design. And you got rappers rapping at LSU, getting deals. Lil Wayne is in the mix. And then you're looking at the Big Ten with Indiana. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were number 1 in the country coming into the tournament. You know, like number two in the country. So it is going to be an incredible season for the ladies next year. But this year, I mean, they definitely outshine the guys, and you got to salute LSU and Iowa as well. Now, I will say this: if you don't win the championship, you should not be getting invited to the White House, man.
I was going to bring that up.
She turned that down too and was like, "Hey, I didn't win, so I don't need to go."
Yeah.
Which is she a dog. I mean, just total respect for Caitlin Clark, and shout out to LSU, but. Yeah, I mean, you can't start inviting the second place team to just because they're the darlings.
For those of you who haven't seen the First Lady, Dr. Joe Biden, making a comment that absolutely they want to invite LSU, but Dr. Joe Biden also saying she wanted to invite Iowa, and Angel Reese, what I think was one of the first notable people to react, saying, "quote This is a joke." That was Angel Reese quoting, and it definitely would set a very odd precedent for sure. And to like you said, Caitlin Clark mentioned it. Iowa's head coach said so that the White House invitation should be a champions only event. It's their moment. Let them enjoy it. But now I recently just saw an article that Angel Reese is saying LSU, neither she nor her team are going to go to the White House themselves. The direct quote says, "I don't accept the apology coming from Dr. Joe Biden, because Dr. Biden said what she said. You can't go back on certain things that you say. They can have that spotlight. We'll go to the Obamas." That was Angel Reese's quote. So I don't know if you've heard that quote or what's your thoughts on that.
I mean, nobody else has ever invited any second place team to the so when you do something like that against a strong personality, like LSU, like that whole team has a strong personality. This is the type of response you'll get. Now, maybe they'll kind of look back later and maybe do something, but that's the reaction to what was said and what was done. And so what's done is done, and LSU, they won't even think twice about it. But next time, Ms. Biden, I mean, much respect, but don't invite the second place team.
I think that's, it definitely would have set an odd precedent, to say the least. And like you say, nothing like this has happened before for any other sport, because it is a big honor for a champion, and they should be honored accordingly with an invitation to the White House. But at the same time, yes, that is a champions-only thing, and Iowa's women's head coach, Lisa Bluter, recognizing that it is a champions-only type of event.
Yeah, if you wanted to meet her, Ms. Biden, just fly her on out somewhere. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I know you want to, I get it. She is like the next Larry Bird. There's no question about it.
She's back next year. Iowa may very well have a chance to win next year.
This evokes memories of Magic and Bird, even if you weren't around. It just feels, it's got that vibe, but this is not that. This is a different era, so you got to play it a little bit different. As we get ready to take a break, we got baseball coming back and some hot topics. Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast, powered by Ladybug Services. Come and see us, man. We are back here, Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast, and it's a rainy day out here, but we are live, and it's feeling real warm in here, and we're going to get to the baseball topic, which is powered by Ladybug Services. You can call 263-BUG for more information. Ladybug Services, all right? Now, baseball starting, and, it's still kind of cold, but they're going to still do what they do out there.
Yep.
Reds, Guardians, and Dragons. All right, but the Cincinnati Reds, go ahead and talk. Let us know what's going on with the Reds right now. They're looking like they're doing something this year, man.
Yeah, they have had a great start. 5 games in the season. They did have a tough opening day loss to the Pirates, but they had a scheduled off day that Friday. Came back, beat the Pirates 6-2 on Saturday, and then 3-1 on Sunday to take the series. So 2-1 to start. Not a bad way to open 2023. And then they had a come from behind win Monday night against the Cubs, 7-6. Jason Vossler 3-run home run being the difference in that game. And then Tuesday night was their first real 12-5 big loss, and it was one of those. I was hearing a lot of fans saying, "Oh no, this is going to be another subpar Red season. This would be the kind of result they were expecting." But for it to be, almost a week into the season until they had that kind of result, that's actually not that bad. They were competitive, even in the 5-4 loss to the Pirates on opening day. They came back from being down 4-1 to tie the game at 4, and the Pirates ultimately winning on a sacrifice fly. But it's been ultimately a positive start for the Reds. A lot of people not really knowing what to expect from this team, but they've come out and they've played all 9 innings. Again, just the one result on Tuesday, the 12-5 loss to the Cubs, the one real game where just nothing went right in the middle innings. The Cubs just having their way at bat and holding the Reds at bay. But the Reds have homered in every game, 5 for 5 so far in 2023. We'll see if that will continue. I know they were scheduled to play the Cubs on Wednesday, but that game has been postponed. It will be played as a doubleheader in September later in the season. So now the Reds get ready to go on their first road trip. They will be at Philadelphia. They got a mid-afternoon game on April 6th. So we've seen the Reds play a couple games at Great American Ballpark. Now, how do they play on the road? That's going to be the big topic.
Yeah, and they'll be taking on a Phillies team who's trying to get their feet together as well. They're actually taking on the Yankees right now in the series. But with the Reds, it's really imperative that they get off to a good start early in the season because they don't have anybody who we know. So even the fans don't even know half most of the players. So you can't come out and have a bad first month with young players because that is a recipe for a incredibly long season like last year. Yeah. So it is very important for the Reds to start off fast. They've done that. Congratulations to the Reds. And we hopefully they can continue to keep it up. They're 3-2 right now. They need another 3-2 vibe to, just stay above the phrase. They'll be taking on the Cardinals soon, and we know how that goes.
Yep.
Cardinals are one of the key, top teams in the division, I'm sure. So congratulations to the Reds. Great job so far, and we're looking forward to seeing what y'all can continue to do.
And a shout-out especially to some players in particular. Jonathan India, he was one of those guys who didn't play up to his standards. I had a chance to speak with him after opening day last year. Back on Thursday, he mentioned last year he did not play up to his standard. But so far, these first 5 games of the season, he has played up to that standard. And then Jason Bosler, he's hit multiple home runs. He was the guy that was brought up after Joey Votto was sent down to AAA because of his injury issues.
What's up with Votto?
Votto right now is with the AAA team, the Louisville Bats. He actually played in the game at Nashville early in the season and hit a home run in one of his first at-bats. So he is feeling optimistic that he's going to be able to return to the Reds fairly soon, and I'm sure Reds fans will certainly be happy to hear that news as well. But in the meantime, Jason Vosler is making the most of his major league opportunity. A lot of people, I'm sure, weren't knowing what to expect from Vosler. He hit the game-tying RBI on opening day to tie the game at 4 against the Pirates, and then had a couple more home runs, both against the Pirates and then on Monday against the Cubs. So Jason Vosler, he's had a stellar opening week to 2023, so big shout-out to him.
Yeah, shout-out to the Reds, man, doing big things, baby. Let's go. Stay in the race. Now, the Guardians, 4-2 right now, and they'll be taking on Oakland here. Well, it'd be good to see what they can do as well. They were they made the playoffs last year.
They did.
And it didn't go well. They lost to the Yankees. And so now here we are, the new season. And the Guardians are definitely going to compete. They have a nice rotation, and they have some young players, so we'll see how it goes for them. So both of our Ohio teams above 500 doing their thing.
Right now, yep.
Major League, what's been the biggest surprise with Major League Baseball so far in the first week?
Pleasant surprise for me is definitely the speed of the game and that pitch clock. I had a chance to go on the field before opening day. You could easily see, it's not like they hid the countdown timers. You could very clearly see at any part in the ballpark where the timers are located. Great American Ballpark, for instance, one located on that brick wall right behind home plate, the backstop, or if you're sitting right behind home plate, you can see 2 timers on the over in the outfield by those power stacks and in the right field bleachers. But that has definitely been a big help, and I know a lot of players, they haven't been as opposed to as perhaps many people were thinking. I'm sure many fans were thinking, well, the players are going to hate the pitch clock, the managers are going to hate the pitch clock. if they do hate it, they haven't been vocal about it. They've been, very much aware that, this is the new normal for Major League Baseball. And I haven't seen any major pushback from any involved party.
Except for Machado, as he was kicked out.
Except for Manny Machado.
As he tried to, he tried to put his hand, try to call time, and was like, nah, strike 3, you're out. That dynamic will be interesting to watch as we get later into the season. But the one thing you're right. The time, they just had a game that was under 2 hours. That's crazy. And I'll say this:
9 innings too. I mean, it's one thing 7 innings, but to play a full 9-inning game for Major League.
Wow. And they get paid, but they like, shoot, if we can get out an hour early, I'm with it too. I don't think they always want to be there for 3.5 hours playing the game. So if they can speed it up anyway, that's cool. But the people throwing the balls out, Megan Thee Stallion and some other girl that threw the ball out was flipping and doing all this stuff.
Oh, I did see that.
That is a different play for Major League Baseball. That's not the norm. Normally, they keep it conservative, but what I'm seeing is they're starting to try to step out their shell, bring in more, more visible, famous people. And you keep bringing up those type of people, and the ratings will continue to go up. So we'll see what happens with the baseball
and
vibe.
it definitely makes sense. Like Megan Thee Stallion throwing out the Astros game. Well, she's from Houston. She went to Texas Southern, a school located in Houston. So there is that connection at least. So I absolutely am all for it. I know Cincinnati Reds had Todd Frazier, their opening pitch. I mean, everyone still remembers Todd Frazier fondly. Guardians actually have not had their home opener. They will not have their home opener until Friday the 7th. They've been on the West Coast for a couple games with the Mariners and the A's. Home opener is Friday the 7th against the Mariners. So it's going to be interesting to see who throws out the first pitch over at Progressive Field for them.
My final minute here. Dragons not playing? What's up with the Dragons?
Dragons, they officially start the season Thursday, April 6th. They will be on the road at the Lake County Captains. They have 3 games there. Sunday and Monday are off days for them, and then home opener against the Great Lakes Loons. That will be coming up on Tuesday, and as it has been the case for the last couple years, it's going to be a situation where you play one team a week, 6 games, Tuesday through Sunday, either all of them at home or all of them on the road. So Thursday through Saturday, the Dragons will be on the road at Lake County, but then next Tuesday, the 11th, all the way through that Sunday, the 16th, I believe, is that Sunday. It's going to be all games at Day Air Ballpark for the Dragons. So got a lot of good high A minor league baseball to look forward to.
No question about it. Good luck to the Dragons this season, and we'll see what they can do as well. Now, real quickly, want to give a shout out to Pickwood and Troy 7th, 8th grade baseball team, and Bethel and Tri-County North JV team. They got wins last week, and they are our nominees for Team of the Week. So if you think you're the Team of the Week, go to Dayton 24/7 and make your statement. Let us know who you think is a Team of the Week. But all of those teams got W's, and we're gonna shout them out. All right. Hot topics, real quick. GW3 jumps over a guy down in Houston at the slam dunk. He does good at Michigan, or what? What do you think?
I think he'll do well at Michigan. Okay. I think it seemed very clear that he was very comfortable with his decision to stick with Juwan Howard, and I'm excited for a CJ grad to represent at the Big Ten level.
UD, any moves? UD or Wright State? Any roster moves?
No new roster moves recently for UD, but we are keeping track of. They're also making their schedule not just for the upcoming season that will start in November, but the next November in 2024. UD is going to be part of that Maui Invitational Field. That will also feature UConn and Michigan State and a couple other of those, as we talked about earlier in the program, those blue bloods of college basketball.
Got anything else?
Nothing for me. It's already spring. This basketball season's gone by quick.
Yeah, it has, and now it's about to be baseball season. We're ready for it, all right? Once again, thank Ladybug Services for sponsoring the show, 263-BUG, if you have any problems. But once again, Maddie D, D-Cash, Mr. Smith will be back with us next week. Make sure you check out the Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast. Go to YouTube and lock in with us, all right?